night, I could get it, and or I could sometimes wake up
Yeah.
with it. Yeah.
I'm just thinking. So you know the form you submitted. I'll ask you the same questions anyway. So do you snore?
No, not that I'm aware of. I breathe quite heavily, but I wouldn't say I
Yeah.
snore. No.
Do you breathe through your mouth?
In the night, yeah. So I can often wake up.
100%. Yeah.
Not as bad as I used to be fair, but yeah, I can sometimes wake up with a dry mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you notice? Do you notice yourself breathing through your mouth during the day?
I really consciously try not to, but
Yeah.
I don't notice it necessarily, but I will, because like probably because of my asthma and whatnot, that'll be like if I feel short of breath, it'll be my default just to like breathe from my mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. I assume that you're familiar with like nasal breathing and some of the literature around that and the teaching that's sort of emerging with that. Yeah.
Yeah, like the Buteyko stuff and
Yeah, like even the Buteyko stuff is good as a method, especially from an asthma point of view. Are you familiar with Patrick McEwen?
no, I don't think so.
He wrote a book called The Oxygen Advantage,
Right. Okay.
which is
I've not
pretty
actually
interesting.
yeah.
And
But
then he's also got a book called Asthma Free Naturally.
okay.
And there's a massive, massive link between a number of these things like asthma and like postural differences. And this is all from like I've done maybe 5 or 6 people different work and sort of put things together and into how I use it. But what we usually see with some of the stuff that we found with you, that poor posterior expansion and that lack of rib cage mobility, you end up obviously then having to compensate from other structures. And if we think about relative movement, when you're missing, so just if we go back to breathing, let's use that. If you're expanding relative to your rib cage expanding and opening, your neck's flexing.
Yeah.
And when you exhale, it retracts, depresses, so your neck's extended. So 22,000 breaths a day, if you're not going through that full breathing cycle as effectively as possible, something else is having to do extra work, isn't going through its full range of motion, etc., etc. And the muscles at the base of the skull, so the suboccipitals, are really, really common in terms of getting really tight and restricted. So we can definitely add something in around that. But like for me, the jaw clenching, the breathing through the mouth, the respiratory things that we have going on are all very sympathetic, very fight or flight driven. Okay. And one of the things that for me, for you consciously to be really aware of is just having, and I'm not massive on meditation and mindfulness, and there is like bits of research now coming out that shows the impact on them on pain and injury rehab and things like that. But I think of it as like transitions. So normal working day, you will have, let's say 6, 8, 10 clients. I don't know how many you have, but back to back, that's pretty intense from a cognitive point of view, from a physical point of view. You wake up, I don't know your habits, but most people check the phone, will have a coffee, you'll train intense, you'll get in your car, all sympathetic sort of driven things. And it's actually those transitions which buy us that little bit of buffer to take us back towards parasympathetic, rest and digest. Are you conscious of those sort of things, or is that sort of a new thought process for you?
No, I am conscious in that sense. Yeah. So I went to like a seminar the other year by William Wayland, who's down in Chelmsford, and he's like keen on, talks about like the mouth taping and stuff. So kind of learned about that sort of secondhand from the Oxygen Advantage. But it's not something I've done regularly since, in all honesty, like played around with it a little bit, but then never, because in like the triphasic stuff as well, Caldesis stuff. So like I've programmed it, but not necessarily really done it myself as much as I would would like to. But I get what you're saying about like most of the activities are kind of switching me on rather than relaxing. But trying to figure out what the best way.
It probably makes sense as well. Like if we look at when you're trying to downregulate, so evening, overnight, that's when you're getting the headaches. And it's that inability or a lack of ability to do that effectively. And that comes from obviously habits earlier in the day. So like mouth taping is great, but like people use it too much, and it's quite an aggressive thing to do, because like, if you think you're used to breathing in and out through your mouth, you've done it for years and years and years. If you go to taping your mouth, that's going to be shit scary, and you try and fall asleep and you think, and you can't
who's the guy? There's that guy who recommends it to tape your mouth overnight, isn't there? Oh, I forget his name, but the American guy.
Well, Patrick McEwen. Patrick McEwen started it, like a lot of it. Right, but you've got to do it appropriately. And like the way that I start with people is just like putting 5-6 stickers around the house, and just being more conscious of breathing in and out through your nose first and foremost. Like put a sticker on the kettle, on your phone, on your laptop, the 5-6 most common places that you go. Every time you see a sticker, just be conscious of it and just think, am I doing this? Am I doing this?
Okay. And when you breathe in and out through your nose, what are you looking for with your diaphragm or your belly? Or because that's something I think perhaps I've not quite.
I wouldn't even worry about that.
Correct.
The only thing no. So just from an upper respiratory tract point of view, if you go na na na, if you say na na na,
na na na,
you know where the tongue hits the top of the mouth. So when you do it, you'll feel keep your tongue there. Suck the rest of the tongue up onto the top of the palate. Your teeth and your jaw are relaxed. Put your lips together. How does that feel?
Strange.
So
like,
that's
weirdly comforting, but also strange. Yeah.
That's the normal resting position for the tongue.
Okay. Wow.
That's all I'd think about. And then if we actually look at the tongue's the biggest muscle in the neck. So it comes all the way down to the base of the neck. If you have a tongue which doesn't sit in its normal resting position, let's use the hip flexor as an example. If posturally your hip flexor sits in a different position, you are more likely it depends what line of thought you come from, but in my opinion, you are more likely to experience different compensations off the back of that. That's all I'd start by thinking about. After a week, 10 days of